G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the west side of the map in the colour teal, playing as the English, we got Blade 55555. And on the east side of the map, I love Blade's name. I love that he's never changed his name. You know, I often tell people, but I've played with Blade since, what was it, 2006, 2007, back in Age of Empires 3. And he was Blade 55555 back then, and he's still Blade 55555 right now. You know, it's a beautiful name. I love the fives. I love that there's 5 fives. Over on the east side of the map, though, in the colour blue, playing as the Ottomans, it is Jeff. It's a classic movie line. I love it. My name is Jeff. It is Jeff over here on the east side. We're on Lipany. We are on Lipany, watching two of the world's best players go up against each other. Blade currently sits inside the top 50. Jeff slightly outside of it, sitting at about rank 60, I think, at the moment. So obviously not your top 5. I saw a comment on YouTube, or a comment in one of the videos that said, Drongo, you've had about 12 top 5 players in the last week. All right, neither of these guys are top 5, at least not yet, all right? But they're working on it, they're working on it. Anyway, we've got ourselves a bit of an interesting opening. We've got a military school coming down for the Ottomans against the English. Now, we've seen this matchup before, and something that I've talked about multiple times is the fact that when you open a military school against the English, it doesn't really achieve much. You're not really going to push them off gold, because they've got villagers that have got bows, and worst case scenario, they're just going to move back to the town center, maybe bring a couple of extra villagers, and keep shooting your spearmen. So it's very little value that you're going to get. And on top of that, the council hall is almost mandatory for the English. Not mandatory, but just, you find it everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you always take the council hall with you. And as a result, it just means that you've got access to longbows straight away. So those Dark Age spearmen, you don't get a whole lot of value out of them. But interestingly, we do see... Oh my... Oh, Jeff, I love it. I love it, Jeff. I love it. This is what, you know, often I talk about how men-at-arms, the Dark Age, completely useless at this point. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Well, you don't need to see any outposts here. You don't need to worry. These guys... Jeff's done. I mean, that's it, right? Like, Jeff's gathered his gold. He just heads back to the base right now. He is cool. He's calm. He's collected. There's the gold for you. He literally gathered all of his gold in the blink of an eye. Now you know why men-at-arms are... Dark Age men-at-arms are useless. I can't stand them anymore. One of the few games where Blade actually plays the English, goes Dark Age men-at-arms, and gets a forward gold spawn, and the enemy's just like, actually, I'm just going to send all my villagers out there. And yeah, it's terrible for walk time. But think about the investment that Blades had to do over here. He has to throw down the barracks, he has to spend resources on men-at-arms, and he's got to change his whole life just to go into those men-at-arms. I actually did an estimate on how much it delays an additional town center, and it works out to be close to 70 seconds. You're delaying your additional town center if you go into those early men-at-arms. So it's a really big delay that you're causing to yourself. But interestingly, age up time's probably going to be quite similar here. Now, obviously, the military school's come through for Jeff already, so he's got himself a little bit of an investment. And by the same token, I mean, Blade's got a barracks out of it, right? And you're always going to have use for the barracks as the English, whether it's men-at-arms or spears. Both are really strong for the English. But the age up's now going to come through. Twin Minaret Madrasa and the council hall over on the other side of the map. No real surprises at all here. It is just pretty standard play coming out. Both of these landmarks you would see at a 90% plus, what would you call it? 90% plus of the time. That town center just absolutely popped that Vanguard men-at-arms in the face, and that is painful. It's painful to lose a men-at-arms like that because you haven't achieved anything with the men-at-arms, and just to lose it like that, to throw it away underneath the TC, it's tough, right? Because sometimes the men-at-arms, they don't do what they're told. You issue a command, and they just kind of, they let it go. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can watch Blade live over on Twitch. I'd encourage you to go check him out. I watch him quite often. Obviously, we go back a long way, so he's an absolute stand-up guy. Very funny, and quite critical of himself as well. Whenever he'll play a game, he'll often talk about, you know, the reason why he lost it, and already I can feel him if he loses this game talking about, yeah, I shouldn't have lost those men-at-arms. That was a bit sad. Yeah, that was a bit sad. It's unfortunate, but interestingly, just the 2 vills on the age up indicates to me it's going to be a second town center, and we start to see villagers moving out towards this stone outcropping. Now, I spoke earlier about how the fact it delays you up to a minute when you go for these early barracks. Look at the timing right now. This is exactly when you'd be adding in your town center had you not gone for those men-at-arms. That's the difference in timing that we're talking about here. I'm curious exactly how much it delays you, but it's starting to feel more and more like a trap for English players who go for this early men-at-arms attack, falling into themselves because you go into it, you don't achieve anything with it, and now you're behind. You could have just made a barracks and just called it a day, but you make a barracks, you make some men-at-arms, and these guys are expensive. You got to remember that. These guys are expensive, so definitely, I would say at the moment, it seems wise to steer away from that, obviously with the exception of maps that are hybrid. Men-at-arms are very, very strong on hybrid maps just because they can siege docks and nothing can really stop them from doing it. But on the other side of the map, though, Jeff is going to be adding in a little bit of a mining camp on the gold vein, adds in the second military school as well, and moves all villagers over. Is Jeff going castle? Oh, Jeff, I'm loving it. Jeff, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from. All I know is your name is Jeff and you're an Ottoman main, and I like that a lot. So this is really cool. And this is something I've been testing with the Ottomans, is a semi-fast castle for the Ottomans, looking to establish a military schools. And the idea here is that you're actually looking for a really big push. And the push starts quite early, which is what makes it so potent, because you can switch over to Spahi, and Spahi are an actually meaningful unit because you can raid with them, you're able to defend quite effectively with them, when Spearmen are just kind of, they're a bit more of a defensive unit, that you don't really go on the offense aggressive with them. But let's ride on board now with Blade, as the second town center is going to be coming down shortly. Drops off, doesn't quite have enough, going to need to do a second drop off, and you can see right here, compared to where he would be had he gone for the standard 2TC build order, which is done by Naomi as a goddess. That's the one that you can search on YouTube for. It is, yeah, it's almost 2 minutes later. Like I think my world record timing with English TCs is 4:39, so you're 2 minutes behind that. That's absurd. That is crazy when you think about. Is it really that much of a delay that you're delaying yourself by 2 minutes by doing that? He didn't go for wheelbarrow. He didn't do anything. Like he literally just dropped a barracks and made 2 men-at-arms, and it's delayed him that much. That is ludicrous. That is absolutely wild to me. All right, well, we'll ride on board with Jeff as the age up is imminent. Halfway on the food, more than 2/4 or two halfway and 2/4, more than 4/8 of the. Oh gosh, he is he's doing well. He's 2/3 of the way up on the gold, so everything is going well for Jeff at this point in time, and does move into the imams. No real surprise there. I'd love to see him move out onto the map, look to pick up the relics, and then go straight onto the sacred sites. I've talked about it before, but I think moving onto the sacred sites is actually really smart with the Ottomans, because it's one of the few civilizations that you can go Castle Age with and actually have a presence on the map, which means taking sacred sites immediately is not a bad thing. There's no real threat that you're going to be losing these sacred sites. You can come out here, contest this sacred site, and bring your units with you, because you've got spears, you're going to have Spahi as well. Remember, he's got the double military school with the stable coming down as well, so going to be moving into knights, which is definitely the correct play here against a civilization like the English, who has longbows and spears. And speaking of longbows and spears, look at this. Blade says, actually, I'm not going 2TC fast castle, I'm going 2TC into a feudal play. So he's going to be looking to keep his enemy in the base. Does Jeff see this? Jeff doesn't really see it. He's got the Sipahi on the backside here, spots the gold vein, sees that there's nothing coming off that gold, and would know that his enemy is probably... I mean, at this point, if you see nothing on the... Oh, there's the Vils. Vils just only attending to the gold right then. So now that's when Blade's going to be looking for his Castle Age as well. That was a lot of Vils. It looked like about 6 Vils there. How many Vils do we see? 7 Vils, yeah. So plenty of villagers. And now that pressure comes through on the front side. Jeff's going to need some units out here to help defend. He's adding into that second stable and coming a little bit too close to the town center. For the third time this game, Blade going to be losing units to the Ottoman TC, getting some great value from that Ottoman TC and the villagers underneath it. You can see on the backside that age up still yet to come through from Jeff. Jeff, I know what your name is, but I don't know what your plan is. Okay, beautifully positioned. I would just like to remark on the base building of Jeff at this point. It is absolutely beautiful. It's perfect. This is exactly how you play it. He's got the military school towards the top side of the base where it's open. He can fit all of the production around it. He's got the military schools in the middle, which means he's able to put on the end the stables and run them along the edge. And it looks like, I don't know whether that one makes it all the way to the corner, but I'm pretty sure that it would. So really well played here. And of course, how can I not talk about the MIA being immediately next to the town center so that there's no risk of it ever being shut down? Because a lot of people might be looking at that and think, oh yeah, you throw your MIA out here or throw it on the corner or something like that. All you do is when you're not next to the town center, you just risk it being shut down. So really well played here by Jeff. But with the MIA coming up, that's going to give him priority with regard to his with regard to his siege. So I would hope to see that Blade is going to be moving into the White Tower. White Tower, a great way to defend against the Ottomans, and one of the few dynamics that's in favor of the English in this matchup. Well, not few, but rather the huge amount. There is a lot of factors that really are favorable for English in this matchup. I'd love to know what the percentages are at the top level. I'm not talking like even the Conqueror level. I'm talking Conq 3+. Because I would suspect that this would be a pretty heavily English-favored matchup. But Jeff now reaching the Castle H. We're right on board with him as he looks to add in a few more houses. I suspect knight production is going to begin shortly. There's the first knight on the way in. What does he switch the military schools over to? He goes over to the men-at-arms. And we see a mosque getting thrown down very, very early on. So he's going to be looking to bring back those relics. And speaking of relics, where are the imams? These guys are just chilling. I guess the reality is that he was a little bit scared by Blade's push. Wasn't quite sure where he was at. And as a result, not able to pick up any of these relics just yet. But he does have the units. And I like the way that Blade has invested just enough resources to stop that tempo from Jeff. So it makes a lot of sense. Now, over on the other side of the map, we do see the White Tower coming down. As we suspected, this is a landmark that I've often called the best landmark in the game, and I stand by that claim. This landmark is just on another level at the moment. So good when you're looking to react to the enemy. Obviously, it's a keep, but on top of that, there's so many other bonuses for it. But moving forward now, we see the archers trying to dish out some damage. You can see that relic is going to get picked up. He's looking to try and focus it down. The wall of law going to come through. I think it's going to make a real difference here as he celebrates with a little bit of a twirl at the top. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. The staff twirl, very well played. And the next relic gets picked up. So definitely when your enemy's shown their desire to make a few units, you'd be scared to take sacred sites before you pick up those relics. You really want to deny the relics in this situation. Once Blade had made, you know, even 3-5 units and pushed out of his base, that was very much the stage where you're like, actually, no, we're not going to bother. So I'm curious where Jeff looks for his next Vizier point, whether he's going to be going into a third military school. It makes a lot of sense. Excuse me, I just did a big sneeze. Normally I've got a mute button that I use, but for some reason my mute button's not working recently, so I just moved the mic. I move my face. What does he say? I move my head away from the mic to breathe. So for me, I move my face away from the mic to sneeze. That's a little Tazon Day reference for you guys that are older than 30 years old. You will know exactly what I'm talking about. For anybody who's under 30 years old, don't worry about Tazon Day. Irrelevant. Completely irrelevant to your life. Chocolate rain. He's got such a voice. There's no way I could emulate it. Not even come close to it. All right, well, the first Mangonel's out. We're at 12 minutes and 20 seconds, so keep an eye on Blade and his defensive position. Remember, he's going to be looking for a Springald. He's going to need to go Springald to deal with this, but at the moment, it looks like he's going to have a very, very heavy composition based largely on wood food units, so not a lot of gold vills gathering at the moment. Only 4 vills on gold for Blade. What is going on in Blade's base? This is where I feel like Blade needs to add more vills to gold. At this point in the game, I'd be taking like, I would want 12 vills, maybe even 14 vills on gold. It is so important right now that he is collecting gold. He needs upgrades, he needs Springalds, he needs crossbows. Crossbows are going to be a really big thing in this matchup. You need to have your crossbow mass built up because you're dealing with men-at-arms from the military schools, you're dealing with knights from the stables. So moving into those crossbow spearman combos together with the Springald to defend against any Mangonels is what is going to be key here for Blade. Let's see if he actually does it though, as he moves into veteran spears. Starts looping around towards that top side. Expect to see a nice little wall thrown in on the back here. Look at that timing, I tell you what. Oh, geez. Who is this guy? He's a little bit of a fortune teller. That wall is very important to throw down here for Blade. If he doesn't get this wall up, he's going to be in a world of pain. Those knights are looping around, but yet to really push through anything just yet. And Blade secures the wall. And with that, it makes it much easier for him to cover. Now, the reason why we wall that is because now these units, instead of having to come down all the way down to here and guard, they can just sit right here and guard. And now those knights, they're not going to be able to come through. He can slowly siege it down, but honestly, if you siege it down, you're in a bit of trouble yourself. But look at this on the front side. Mangonel takes the shots onto the villagers there. Looks like a couple of villas did go down. In fact, only the one villager going down, but the TC in a bit of an awkward spot. Part of the reason, whenever I'm coaching, which, by the way, if you're interested in some coaching, check out Patreon if you want to improve. I always advocate, get those English TCs back towards your base. You don't want these guys far out. You want to play a nice, tight defensive game. And look at this, the counter-attack coming through. Not even a counter-attack. The raid going to happen at the same time. Mangonel's shot comes down, lands on top of all those spearmen on the front side. But keep in mind, there's no crossbows here. So these men-at-arms are just going to be standing here forever. We come back down onto the south side. A couple of spears here, looking to dish out damage, managing to do it. But still, those knights are going to be running rampage through the base of the English player. It's looking terrible right now for Blade. He needs to pull himself together. And the Mangonel goes down. The spears have done it. They said, don't worry, we're not going to deal with the men-at-arms men-at-arms. We don't need to worry about them, Drongo. We're just going to go straight past them. And pretty smart move there by Blade to do that. Because had he left that mangonel, he would be in trouble. Because the second mangonel, it is due. In fact, it is not only is it due, it is ready. It is rolling off the blocks right now. So that's why we mentioned that time, 12:20. So you can expect to see. So it takes a mangonel about just a little bit over 2 minutes to come out. So 14:40 is exactly when you'd be expecting it. So Blade sitting on 63 vills at the moment, only lost 4 in that raid. Honestly, I'm impressed that he only lost 4 villagers then. When 4 knights get into the base like that, I would expect a lot more losses. Now, what's Blade's economy looking at the moment? A lot of vills on wood. Ideally needs to get a few more vills onto food. Needs to focus on that production a bit more. But I guess this isn't a coaching session. This is a casting. This is a cast, right? So we should talk less about what Blade should do and more about what he's doing. Over on the other side, though, Jeff looking to continue securing up the rest of the religious goals. Obviously, 4 relics in the bag, so he's going to be very happy with that. 5th relic sitting towards the top side of Blade's base. Relatively safe position. He could easily look to snag that, but we hear those sacred sites now being captured. And with 3 sacred sites taken, Jeff puts himself in a really good position this game. Because not only is he collecting the relics, but with the sacred sites, he's got a really nice amount of passive gold that's starting to come through for him. It'll mean that he'll be able to take off all of his villagers from gold. He won't even need to think about getting the vills on gold anymore. He can just pretty much live off the gold that's there in the center. But once again, Blade going to be pushing out to the middle. Has he picked up +2 at least? Okay, he's got +2. That's fine. So the problem that Blade's going to have is he's not going into crossbows. Men-at-arms together with the knights are going to do really well here. Now, he has gone into a springald, which is going to help him out against the enemy mangonel. But the problem is he doesn't have anything to cut down these men-at-arms. And this is part of the reason why I think going into crossbow spear is just the most important decision that you can do as an English player. Going into crossbows in particular just allow you to cut through those enemy armored units. Sacred site now just being held on. I love the way that he's just jostling here. Second sacred site is captured, and a single sheep still remains on the map. Look at that guy. Sean just chilling out here with his white bandana. He's not interested in joining either of the blue sides. And now that a little bit of a raid on that top side comes through. A lack of walls here for Blade. Playing an interesting part. Does Jeff spot out the springalds? He does see the springalds. In fact, he sees both of the springalds. So at this point, Jeff might even be tempted to look to try and get a dive on that. It's very hard, though, to dive onto enemy springalds when they're guarded by this many spears. And still Blade just playing a completely trash-based game at the moment. Very, very dangerous. And look from Jeff's perspective, only crossbows. No archers at all. Actually, I take it back. A single archer. And Mangonel's looking to tee off onto the back line. Springald's managing to hit the first of the mangoes. Second one also going to be going down. So very nice position. The best it possibly could have gone for Blade. But at this point, the numbers, just look at the numbers. This is what we were talking about when it comes to having that power spike in the castle age for the Ottomans. Right now, Jeff is just absolutely overwhelming Blade. Blade trying to hold on for dear life, but the Imams here, look at the healing going off. First Imam does go down. I think the second one might have been lost already. All of the heals going to stop. Blade needs to fall back towards that white tower, but even if he does, he's going to lose the town center, and this is the consequence. This is the consequence of going for this town center a little bit further away, is that it's no longer protected by the white tower. The white tower is where you fall back to. The white tower is where you keep it real. Needs to move in the crossbows, though. Blade's still yet to move in the crossbows. Really struggling with these heavily armored units. Remember, they got their +2 ranged armor in, so they're only going to be taking 4 damage a pop from each of these longbows. Keep in mind, compared to a crossbow with +2, I think crossbows are doing 21 damage. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, so 23 damage, obviously minus the armor, but yeah, it's a pretty decent amount of damage difference between them. So right now, if Blade was to go into crossbows instead of longbows, he would be doing. Let me just do the math here. So it's 23 minus 6, so 17 damage versus 4 damage. 4 times the amount of damage with the crossbows. Now, obviously, there's caveats to that, right? Like a longbow is cheaper than a crossbow. The longbow has a longer range than the crossbow. The longbow has palings. The longbow's got a very cool bow, whereas the crossbow does not have a cool bow. Like the crossbow is an objectively uncool bow. How many guys have you seen at the bar picking up girls with crossbows? None. Absolutely none. If a guy's going to pick up a girl, it's going to be with a longbow every single day of the week. So just keep that in mind. Not a cool bow. But that doesn't change the fact that Jeff's position is looking good. The main thing that Jeff's got going for him is tempo. He's added in a huge amount of production behind this. He's got all 4 military schools, and this is where the Ottomans hit their stride. You know, often we think of civilizations that hit their stride in the Castle Age as being like the Holy Roman Empire. Once you get Castle, you know, everything's good. The Mongols, once you get Castle Age, everything is just, you know, fine and dandy. But for me, the Ottomans, it is a civilization that once you get to Castle Age, it is a whole new world that is opened up for you. You are Aladdin on a carpet ride. Actually, is that... I think that's Aladdin, right? That's an Aladdin reference. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. And Crossbow's finally getting nixed by Blade. But is it too late? That is the question. Is it too late? I feel like he's lost a lot of battles here. Needs Springlets. Where are these Springlets? I see them on the map. He's got the outpost up, and we're going to head into the cinematic mode because Blade is pushing forward. We'll be able to snipe out the Mangonel. Oh, the shots didn't go. Oh, they loaded up, but they bugged out. What was that? That might cost Blade the game here. He's going to be so careful. That Mangonel continues looming towards the topside outpost on the top of the hill. Don't go up that hill, Blade. Do not go up that hill, Blade. Turn around, Blade. The Mangonel shot from the top rope. It's huge. Plenty of damage coming out. He's trying his best to micro down this Mangonel. You can see it coming through. Springlets once again coming towards attention. Manages to take out the Mangonel. Needs to fall back with those. But the crossbow numbers. Where are the crossbow numbers? How many crossbows have we even got here? I don't even see them. There they are. He's only got just a handful of crossbows. It's not enough to one-shot these units, and he's just getting rampaged, stampeded on as the Ottoman player just looks to close out this game right now. All of the units getting caught in this position, and you can't help but feel like at this point Blade just needed a few more crossbows a little bit earlier in his game, and it would have changed everything. But once again, he holds on. He defends in a classic English style. But I tell you what, this Ottoman player, he's not messing around. He's coming back for seconds. He's probably coming back for thirds. In fact, he's been in so many times. It's getting a little sloppy in there. All right, let's bring back in that UI and take a look where we're at. Jeff double the military pop of his enemy. He's down about 22 economic pop, but remember that he's got a lot of things going for him. He's got 3 sacred sites, and the sacred victory is rapidly approaching. We're 6 minutes away from that. He's got the relics in the bag. That's also going to help him, but most importantly, he's added a second town center so that slow decay, or not even a decay, but that slow difference that was occurring is no longer occurring. So it's maintained now at this rough difference of 20 villages, which means that Jeff is pretty close to Blade, considering he's got military schools. He's got the MIA that are just pumping out units non-stop. So these are really going to contribute to Jeff and the timing that he's got right here. Most importantly, he's just spending all of his resources. He's got no resources in the bank. He's got 800 wood, but who doesn't have 800 wood 20 minutes into the game? Everybody's got 800 wood 20 minutes into the game. I watched a Marine Lord game. He had 3,000 wood 20 minutes into the game. Jeff, you're doing fine. Keep it up. Keep it real, son. But I'm not cheering for Jeff. I'm cheering for Blade. Blade, pull it together, son. That's what we want to see. We want to see more farms coming down. The more farms, the sooner we get to Imperial. The sooner we get to Imperial, the sooner we type GG. It's a classic. It's the classic fast Imperial into GG. Not today, though. I mean, Blade could look for Imp. The problem is if he goes Imp, he dies. In fact, this army is so big, I feel like no matter what he does, he's going to die. He doesn't have enough spears. He didn't have enough crossbows early on. And now we're in this really difficult spot where he's just kind of outnumbered. Don't push out, Blade. Don't push out, Blade. Please don't push out. Go chill out underneath your white tower. Don't do it, Blade. No, not like this, Blade. Get back, Blade. Stop it. he's so trigger happy. Look at him go. He's the most trigger happy English player I've ever seen. The Mangonel shot goes a little bit wide. Manages to hit a couple of crossbows, but the heals are coming out. Keep in mind, they got the extra heals from another big Mangonel shot coming in from the top rope. Randy Orton, you can't miss him, or if you did, you'd be in trouble. Big another shot coming in. It goes wide, though. All the Mangonels are down on the other side, but still those knight numbers are just incredible. Where are these knights coming from? There's so many knights. Look at the amount of armored units he's gotten here in Blade with just a lack of crossbows right now. The 3 Springles all going to try their best to scoot around the outside, and good game gets called. Blade going to be tapping out, and successfully we see his opponent Jeff with a victory. Fellas, if you've enjoyed this game, make sure you go check out Blade. I'll leave a link in the description where you can watch him live over on Twitch. And other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.